Welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. That is some old school European trance. It's like from the 90s, right? Maybe even the early 90s. So first of all, welcome to the show. I want to give a big thank you to the folks at the Bryan Real Estate Investment Club. I was out there last night, and I had completely forgotten until I was on a conference call with Keith, and he said, "Hey, Jason, your event, you were supposed to speak up here the month that COVID hit and everything got locked down." So it was kind of fun to get to go back and actually do the presentation there. They're in this beautiful building, and I got to meet the owner. It was a former ice house. Now, when I say ice house, I mean real ice house, like 1890s ice house. So they would get these frozen blocks of ice, and then they would cut them up to then put in businesses and homeowners' refrigerators. Like, you remember like the old school where you put the cube of ice in the top of the refrigerator? So they took me into one of the old storage rooms, and the storage rooms had like a foot thick cork walls. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So it's a beautiful building. They've turned it into a large event center where they do weddings and conferences and parties and concerts. They do everything there. But anyways, amazing location. One of my favorite places to speak. It's, like I said, absolutely beautiful place. Me and another buddy of mine, Greg, keep looking around town for a 6 or 8 story building from that industrial era, you know, the early 1900s, to convert into residences. I'd love to take up, the whole goal was, can we buy a 6 or 7 story building, and then the first floor would just be parking, and all the subsequent floors would be one residence per floor, and then put a pool and stuff and like a little tiki bar on top of the building. Anyway, been one of our dreams, kind of look at it from time to time. But anyway, big thanks to everybody that had me out at Bryan College Station last night. There were about 40 to 50 folks there, and I did our economic update. So, and then of course, big thanks to Alex from Jet Lending as the first guest to the Icons of Real Estate, which, by the way, we need to give an award every time we have somebody on. I was thinking about this. So you and I got to go find like a little knight, right? A little knight from chess, and we'll give that out, you know, Icon of Real Estate. So first big question I've got for you guys: if there's someone you want me to interview on this new program, Icons of Real Estate, you know, post it right now, put it in the chat, and we'll just start getting our list together. So we get asked all the time by publishing and media companies if we'll have so-and-so on, or this person or that person. Our radio show is not the best place for that. This is really a platform for our sponsors and me and Rob, just to be, you know, completely transparent on how this whole thing works. So we built a new YouTube channel called Icons of Real Estate. And this is not for real estate gurus to go, oh, you know, financial freedom, and I'm pitching a weekend class. That's not the point of that show. The point of the show is, where were you at before real estate? Where are you now? What did that transition look like? And what do you see the future being? Really a more, a more tactical approach to real estate. How did you get over the challenges of a new real estate investor? What are the challenges you're dealing with now? Tell us some of your horror stories. Tell us some of your success stories. And again, that show launched yesterday at 1:30. It's on the YouTube channel, Texas Real Estate Mastermind. It's got its own playlist. So Icons of Real Estate, go check it out. Go ahead and subscribe to the Texas Real Estate Mastermind. I'm trying to get some more subscribers on there, and hopefully this will help out. So big thanks to Alex. But let me know who you'd like me to interview. Put it in the chat. send me an email, jason@mrtxre.com. It's jason@mrtxre.com. And when I say, who would you like me to interview? It's got to be somebody that we can get in contact with. So I know you guys want me to interview Robert Kiyosaki. And I actually can make that happen now. If y'all really want me to get somebody like Bob on, I can get him on. But I don't know them. I know him personally. I know him through another contact, and we can get him on. But I would rather it be somebody that you know or you've got a degree of separation from or to, and we can get them on the show, and it's a much more it's more of a friendly introduction. So let me know who you'd love to have on the show, and we'll bring them on the show. So big thanks to the folks over at, like I said, over at Bryan College Station, or the Bryan Real Estate Investment Club, and of course Alex yesterday for the show. All right, let's talk about interest rates. Really interesting story this morning. It published at 8:45 a.m. I was just out of the gym, jumping in the shower, and this is the title of the article. Rates, market starts pricing in a Fed fold. Rates, market starts pricing in a Fed fold. I mentioned this in my year in review and market predictions in 2022, at the end of January, beginning of February this year, only a couple of months ago. And I basically said, look, rates are going to go up in the short term. They're going to start to come down. Anybody who studies finance, I have a hard time with them disagreeing with this. We can't raise rates. We really can't. We're awash in debt. The stock market lives on debt, lives on cheap debt at this point. So many businesses will go under overnight if they can't access inexpensive capital. In fact, if you want a really interesting chart, I'll pull it up right now. The Moody's AAA corporate bond index. If you pull that up, hold on one second here. Seasoned AAA corporate bond yields. Here we are. If you pull that up, it starts before the crash in 1920. And there's a gazillion recessions between 1920 and 2022. I shouldn't say there are gazillion. It's about a dozen. What you will find in this chart is that every time there's a recession, rates get lowered to spur economic growth. My prediction is we're in a recession now. Last quarter, we had negative GDP. My prediction is this quarter, we have negative GDP. In fact, if we aren't in a recession, someone is lying to us. Because if you look at what's happened to Target, Walmart, I saw a report the other day, Gap is down 86%. Let me pull up Gap. What is their price at? The Gap has lost in the last, year to date, they're down 44%. In the last year, Gap has lost 70% of its value. So there's some real challenges out there in the retail markets. Again, Target and Walmart. Walmart took a shellacking last week. So if retail is getting their brains beat out, what that really tells you is the consumer is running out of cash. So my guess is we're in the middle of a recession. We won't know until a couple of weeks into Q3, but we're in recession territory now. So the Fed has two choices. And that's really the discussion that we're going to have today because it directly impacts interest rates. And this is a narrative that everyone said, rates got to go up, Jason, you understand, rates are going to be 15%. And I'm like, you don't understand. This isn't the 1970s, 1980s all over again with regards to how we fight inflation. When we get back from the break, we're going to talk more about what's going to happen with rates, what the options are, what the Fed is literally has their back to the wall. They've got a gun to their head on either side of their head, and which trigger are they going to pull? That's really at the point we're at. We get back from break, we'll talk more about it. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. You don't like that camera? Ooh, can you do you can switch back and forth, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was doing the whole show yesterday.
How did it come out pretty good?
It came out pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the only other notes I had is we just need to add a little
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, I thought it was great.
Do you think it'd be better if we did as a produced show as opposed to doing it live?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a produced show. Okay.
Flexible. Well, then we can record anywhere. We don't have to do it here. We can record it like you said it.
I think we do it at Sugar Room. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Whenever you're ready.
You know what I ought to do? I'll text Tommy. Let me see if Tommy knows the guy that owns that.
I shot an email today.
Yeah.
Called and didn't answer, so I was able to.
I figured they're kind of a late night place anyway. The people for that new club reached out to me. What's the new hot club that's in Midtown? Brian, if you're watching, I called him. I emailed him. And they immediately got back to me. They're like, we'd love to host your events. It's a sick place. So in Midtown, but they already said, hey, man, we'd love to host your events. And then I can't do it today, but I got to reach out to the guys at Poor Behavior. Maybe they can host us. But anyway, they got a really cool club in the back and make a great backdrop. And their bar in there is freaking awesome. And nobody's there during the day. Like, their club doesn't open till 10. We could literally shoot us sitting at the bar. It'd be pretty cool. All right. Ready to go?
Yep.
Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Welcome back to the show. All right, so here's the deal. The Fed has got their back up against the wall. There's two things going on with the Fed if we head into a recession, which I'm going to go ahead and say we're there. Like, we're in a recession. Walmart, Target, retailers in the mall don't get their brains beat in because they're making a lot of money. Like, they get their brains beat in because they're not making any money. So my guess is retail sales are down. I saw a report that I shared with the Brick Club, the Brian Real Estate Investment Club last night. New home sales are down 17% month over month. That's a monthly collapse. Now, why is that? It's a pretty simple answer. There's not enough new homes to sell. Why aren't there not enough new homes to sell? They're really expensive to build. Between materials and labor, it's been a real challenge. Now, I will tell you this. Rates have absolutely impacted new home sales. And you need to understand why. New homes are well above the median home price in most markets because you can't make any money selling affordable homes. You just can't. You can't make any money building affordable homes. So the median new home sales price in most markets is substantially more than the median home sales price of existing homes. Or we don't call it this, but I like to call it used homes. I don't know why the real estate industry didn't pick up from the car industry. These aren't existing homes. These are used homes, pre-owned, certified pre-owned home. I guess you could say it that way. But in any case, so the reality is that interest rates have had an impact on the new home and the new home construction environment, but also labor and material shortages. So, all right, the Federal Reserve, let's go ahead and assume we're in Q3. The weather is finally starting to get pleasant again, although it's not really all that pleasant in September, or August. But let's assume weather is starting to get a little bit more pleasant. We're in Q3, we're in the middle of a recession. So here you are, Jerome Powell, hanging out at the Federal Reserve. I don't know what they do at the Federal Reserve all day, to be quite honest with you. So he's at the Federal Reserve, and we're now in a recession. And he gets a phone call. And who do you think's calling him? This is where it gets interesting. We're in a recession. Who's calling Jerome Powell? President Joe Biden. So old Joe, gives Jerome Powell a call in Q3. Hey, man, what's going on? And he kind of trails off and starts talking about bananas and canoes and something else, whatever Joe Biden talks about, which is all gibberish. But let's say you can string together a sentence without the help of a teleprompter. And he says, okay, here's the deal, Jerome. We are headed right into an election, a.k.a. the midterms. Even though, truth be told, I think they're going to get an absolute shellacking, but we'll see. We're headed right into the midterms, and we really can't be in a recession headed in the midterms. So that whole raising rates to combat inflation thing, that's not really going to work for me. And all of our Democrat colleagues. In fact, if it doesn't look like this is going to work out, maybe when your term is up, we don't renew you as the Fed chair. And I don't know, maybe people become Fed chairs because they want better parking in D.C. or they get like great restaurant reservations. I don't know. I don't know what the advantage is of being Fed chair. I mean, once you've done it once, it seems like, you kind of can tick that mark on the old resume and move on to something cooler. But so Jerome Powell is going to have a choice to make. Do we raise rates to combat inflation, or do we lower rates to get out of the recession? Now, between you and me and the, I don't know, somewhere between 60 and 250,000 people that listen to this show, although I think it's just my parents and a couple of people that show up for our weekend retreats, just being honest here. It is kind of funny. So, just between me, you, and the fence post here, he's going to have to make a choice. And that choice is raise rates to combat inflation or lower rates to fight the recession. Now, one of those is easy. The other choice is hard, but necessary. One should really be raising rates. I mean, I don't disagree with that stance. However, the reality is I just don't think it's going to happen. All right, guys, got a little sneeze there. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to take the easy road out, and we're going to lower rates. So my prediction back in January was by the end of December, November, December, we're going to be at the same rates we were in about January. Because the data is really clear. The only way out of a recession is to lower rates, period. In fact, let me take a look here. This is the Moody's seasoned AAA corporate bond yields. They track the 10-year Treasury pretty closely. And it shows pretty clearly that if you want to get out of a recession, you've got to lower rates. It's that simple. Debt financing has to go through the floor. That's why I keep telling everybody, hey, look, we will see 2 and 3% mortgages again in the next 18 months. Now, here's what the smart money is doing. Some people are saying, Jason, we should wait until rates go down to buy houses. And I'm like, look, dude, here's the problem with that theory. Your house gets $5,000 more expensive every single month. So if this takes 12 months, that house that you would have bought 12 months ago cost you $60,000 more. It doesn't make any sense to wait. Now, you're going to pay higher interest rates for the next 18, maybe 24 months, but who cares? You just refinance. Buy now at a 5, 5.5, 6%, maybe a 7%. You're going to be refinancing 18 to 24 months from now at somewhere between 2 and 3%. I think we're going to be back to a 15-year mortgage at 2% inside of 24 months. And here's the other prediction I've got in our careers, which is, let's say, 10 years, maybe even 5 years. We're going to see interest rates at what I like to call 0%, which are sub 1% mortgages. So below 1%, so a quarter, 0.9%, that sort of thing. But I think we're also going to see the 40-year mortgage, which those of you in Southern California are already using a 40-year mortgage. But I think a 40-year mortgage is going to become really popular. When you look at the United States compared to the rest of the world as a percentage of disposable income or even as a percentage of GDP, our real estate is amazingly cheap. Like astounding. It's one of the cheapest countries to live in. So it's only a matter of time until our real estate becomes insanely expensive. And then people ask me like, Jason, man, I mean, what do you do? What if 30, 40% of your income goes towards housing? And I'm like, you mean like the rest of the world? Maybe the average consumer, the middle class family, doesn't buy a new car every couple of years or gets the fancy cell phone every year. We get back from the break. We're going to talk more about inflation and rates. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network.
We did have a comment from someone on YouTube saying we
If I get the Trumpster on the show,
Yeah, that'd be great.
I might be able to get the Trumpster on the show. All right, let's see here. Let me look at this article real quick here. I just didn't get a chance to read it. All right. All right, welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Literally, this article was published this morning, and I'm just now getting to it. I've had a pretty busy day, but when it came across the wire, we're already hearing about possible the Fed easing up on rates or not even raising them. So here's the title of the article: Rates, Market Starts Pricing in a Fed Fold. By the way, this is on Zero Hedge. While equity markets have created in recent weeks amid a constant barrage of disappointing macro data and hawkish sentiment from the Fed, something has suddenly changed in the last few days. As asset price declines accelerated, market expectation for rate hikes have eased off their uber hawkish forecasts. Let me put that in English. The S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ are being obliterated. Let's pull up S&P. Honestly, the S&P is really the only one that matters. Let's take a look at the S&P this morning. Let's look at year to date. Year to date, it's lost 18%. In the last month, the S&P 500 has lost 8%. The Fed is freaking out. At a 20%, if we lose 20% in the S&P 500, that means we're in full, what they call bear territory. By the way, if your real estate crashes 20%, that's called a crash. If the S&P 500 or any of the other indexes blow out 20%, it's just called a bearish market. It's not called a crash. I've always found that pretty funny. So the reality is that in the last few days, rate hike expectations have dropped as a subsequent rate cut expectations have jumped. Meaning, you guys go back to what the Federal Reserve said a couple of months ago, that there was a guaranteed 50 bip rate hike for June and July, are now starting to be discounted, with the market now less than assured that there'll be 50 bip hikes in July. So if you guys remember the last rate hike, it was supposed to be 50 bips, and the Fed Reserve came out and did 25. I think it's pretty safe to say that we're going to see rates continue to decline. Andrew Tyler of JP Morgan: I think it is unlikely we see the Fed pivot at this stage in the tightening cycle. Per Powell, he and the Fed need to see material evidence of slowing inflation. While the September Fed meeting is one where we could see a pivot that essentially leaves 3 more CPI prints to prove the case. Odds of a 50 bip hike in September have fallen dramatically since the FOMC meeting, from 80% to now less than 40%. I don't think we're going to see a rate hike at all in September. Now, the Fed is notorious for playing with the consumer price index. My guess what happens is we get some CPI prints that show that inflation isn't that bad, aka the Fed did a really good job fighting inflation, which you and I both know is BS. So here's what happens. The Federal Reserve will come out with some sort of data, or some other bureau inside the federal government. And then they'll do what's called a revision, and usually that's the following month or the following quarter. They'll do a revision, and all of a sudden that revision might actually tell the truth. However, very few journalists actually pick up on that news. They're always looking for the latest, hottest thing. So I think what we're going to see is we're going to see recession in this quarter, recession last quarter, meaning negative GDP. We're going to get some CPI, Consumer Price Index prints, meaning some CPI data that shows that inflation is down. However, when you go back and look at the revisions, the inflation will actually have not changed. But that'll give the Fed the ability to say, well, we defeated inflation, and my gosh, look at that. We're back in a recession. We're going to need to lower those rates. At a minimum, not raise them. And if anything, not raise them much. But my guess is we are going to be back to where we were at the end of the year, where we started the beginning of the year. We'll be in a little recession. Rates will go down because the Fed can claim, oh, there's no inflation, even though gas will be $5 a gallon across the country. You know, it's funny. I don't know what you guys are. I don't know if this is the gas station or the card that you use. Mine stops anywhere between 100 and 150, depending on the gas station, which does not fill up the Toyota Tundra. I can tell you, it's a 36-gallon tank, and I run it to 32 gallons. I'm putting at least 30 into it. And at $4.50 a piece, you're in that $120 to $150 range, depending on where you're filling up. So the American consumer is acutely aware of what gas costs. In fact, I was at Buc-ee's yesterday, and I think, if I remember correctly, I always get the big packet of beef jerky, and it's usually $14, $15. And I noticed yesterday it was like 16 and some change. So we're starting to see beef jerky inflation at Buc-ee's at this point. So, and I want to say that's just my recollection. I don't know. I have to call the guys at Buc-ee's to see if that's the case. But beef jerky looks like it's gone up $1 in the last couple of months. So the Fed is going to come out with some data that says, oh yeah, inflation isn't that bad. Now maybe we should lower rates to spur economic growth. And by this time next year, we may be looking back at 2-3% mortgages again. And the sad part is there's a lot of real estate investors that are waiting for rates to go down. And in the process of waiting, the houses that they would be buying are appreciating $5,000 a month. We will have another year of 20+% appreciation at the median home price. In fact, we may have another couple of years of this. I mean, the worst market correction in Texas was only 7% in real estate. If you've got 4 or 5 years of 20% appreciation, by the way, that means the house price doubles in a handful of years. A 7, 8, 10, 15% market correction for 18 months is nothing. That's why I keep telling everybody, don't wait to buy a single-family house. Buy it now. If you wait, it's just going to be that much more expensive. Oh, you come and pick up groceries, Rob?
Yeah, I'll come back.
We got our HEB delivered here at the office. I always tell because they just dump it all right here at the front door, like right there in front of the desk. Anyway, if you guys have not been to the Texas Real Estate Investment Center, the studio is the former lobby of the building. So we're literally we get to see everybody come and go here. It's pretty funny. So I think we're going to see some CPI numbers that defy logic. Oh, inflation wasn't that bad. We were able to fight inflation. It really wasn't that big of a deal. And then you're going to go, wait a second here. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's much worse than it really is. But they're going to play this game. They're going to play with the numbers in such a way that it's really not that bad. Because they're going to have a recession to fight. There is virtually no one out there, unless they've got an agenda, that can't honestly say that we're going to be in a recession the next 2 years. I'm just saying it's probably going to be in the next couple of months. In fact, it's right now. But there's a lot of people, for whatever reason, the banks are finally starting to get on board and go, yeah, this $4 a gallon gas, $5 a gallon gas, plus the supply chain shortages and everything, I could certainly see where prices are increasing, and that's going to cause a recession. You know, one of the interesting things about the CPI is it measures how much money is spent, not how much do you get for it. And that's a really important distinction. We get back from the break. We're going to talk more about inflation, interest rates, and what you can do as real estate investors. Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. All right. I'll wait till Rob gets down here. Let me text him.
People want to hear you, Rob.
Any other recommendations, guys, for somebody I should interview on the show? Okay. What?
I think he said we should do another one.
I don't have time to do another one because Clayton and I are going to my house to set up the new studio.
What's going on?
Start with segment 4.
All right.
Oh, the camera's now pointed at our crotch.
I can sit down.
Whenever you're ready.
Welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Rob has joined us in studio
Hey.
to talk about, so big news story this morning. Literally, I was getting out of the gym, taking a shower, trying to get up here. The market is already pricing in reductions in rates. At a minimum, they're saying September is probably not even going to be a rate hike.
Right.
So this whole idea that we're going to 900% interest rates.
No, we'll be back to first quarter 2023.
Yeah, it's not. In fact, let's pull up MBS News Daily and see what we're up to here. And I keep telling people, I'm like, dude, this is not that big a deal. I'm hearing some people like, well, Jason, we're just going to wait until rates go down. I'm like, okay, every month you wait, that house costs you $5,000 more.
Yeah.
So you can do that if you want, but it doesn't sound like a really smart plan. Yeah, we are down. The 30-year fix is now down to 5.29.
Oh, great. So it'll be in the fours again.
Yeah, it should be pretty.
Fours make it perfect because non-QM will be sub 6.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you know what is going up though?
What's that?
The price for our mastermind.
Oh, is that why you're on the show today?
Yeah, just letting everyone know.
Once we hit 100 folks in our
We're
mastermind, price is
really
going up.
close to 100 right now. We got like 7 people we're following up with on the board, and once it goes up to 100, it jumps up another cycle of increase.
What are we at?
We're at 37,500 over 4 years.
Yeah, so it's 15 grand the first year.
Yeah,
Okay.
and our regular rate when we're not doing the events is $50,000.
Ooh.
So it is going to go up above 37.5, not quite at the 50, but we'll increment it now over the next new 100 people. It'll keep going up. We told everyone when we started, right? I mean, when we started, it was what was it? It was
2018.
75. It was 15,000 for 3 years when we started.
Oh.
And we told everyone it's going to $50,000. Get in now. So you'll send out an email, call with mrtxre.com, set it up. If you've already been to the 3-day event or you've been thinking about it, lock in. We can lock you in right now at the price we have now.
Okay.
We'll do that for you.
Okay.
But come, am I guessing this June event will be at the new pricing.
It's so funny. Jason, why do you charge for your mastermind? Why? And I just tell them because it's worth it.
Oh yeah, would you
Like-
pay someone $40,000 to make $1 million?
Yeah, of course you would.
Of course
It's
you would.
ridiculous.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
So
I mean, that's the goal: is to get everyone to become have $1 million in equity over 5 years in real estate.
So I was asked the other day, like, hey, how many people like are successful? How many people sign back up for year 2? And I said 90%.
92% of the people are successful, come in, get something done, have equity, make a little profit, and we're tracking 84% renewal.
Yeah. It's pretty insane. I don't know any other program like that in the country.
And it's only getting better because we're hiring more people, right? Because now we have Omar, who's really hands-on with the loans. Mm-hmm. So that just got really good. And then Rosanna came in, so she's helping us with the sort of day-to-day questions. And we're looking to hire an acquisition manager. So if you know anyone out there who's worked in the wholesaling world or in the commercial world, we're looking to hire an acquisition manager. We're tasks.
And you're going to work directly with this guy right here buying houses and apartments.
We are. So what's 300 divided by 12? 25 divided by times 250.
It's always fun when Rob does math on the show.
We're tasked with finding $6 million worth of properties every month.
Oh, $6 million in property. Huh?
Just for the mastermind.
So that's $72 million a year.
Yeah, and then
That's not including
then our stuff
You and I are another 15 to 30 million
a year.
Oh, we'll crack 100 million this year.
So it'll be 100 million. We're looking for someone to help us start acquiring the 100. It's all scattered right now, and we're doing it. And we got, I don't know, like 4 point something on coming in, and we got, and if we do that $10 million deal, and then we've got 11 million on the way out. Mm-hmm. So we're looking for an acquisitions manager, someone again.
And I'm going to tell you right now,
there's only a handful.
You're going to freaking work.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of these people don't understand. Like, oh yeah, I just got a contract. Like, you're going to really, really work.
We're not
make a
looking
lot
for,
of money. But
let me put it this way: we're not looking for a real estate agent.
Yeah, I don't want a real estate agent.
But you should be a licensed agent.
Right.
Right?
But I'm not
that's
looking
what we're
for. I'm a failed real estate agent. Then I'm going to go work with you guys.
Or a failed wholesaler. That's not what we're looking for.
for.
We're looking for someone who's been in this world for a little bit, has done some serious acquisition, understands the needs of investors as well as the needs of our mastermind folks, and we will pay you very handsomely for that.
Yeah.
I'll happily pay you more than I make. I'm okay with that.
I think everybody around here makes more than we make.
Technically, for the last 6 months, Clayton has made more than you and I combined. So, yes, but that's okay. That's what you do when you.
I think our interns.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I think your dog is making more than we make.
My dog, yes,
the
absolutely.
dog is making
yes.
more than we are at this point.
Probably, yeah, probably. So, yeah, the mastermind cost is going up, and that's going to be a big thing. And look, we know there's a lot of $50,000, $60,000, $75,000 programs out there that don't deliver a tenth of what we deliver. Mm-hmm. And we had some people who came in this week, and they were in other groups in town and out of town. And the discussion is they start getting angry with us. I'm like, hey, I'm not your last girlfriend.
Oh yeah, like why should I work with you and all that? And
this other group told me they were going to bring me properties and we're going to do bus tours, and now we're not even talking about single families. I'm like, that's not me.
Well, and I just start with, hey bro, you need to go talk to her.
Yeah, go.
You need to sort your issues out there.
Yeah, you get some
it's not my fault you picked the bad one.
Right, get closure over there, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't. My favorite is when they're, hey, Jason, I'm signed it with so-and-so and this person. I do this and that. And why should I come to your weekend or whatever? I'm like, it sounds like you shouldn't. It sounds like you.
Yeah, you're all set.
You got some really great.
How's it going?
I mean, I've been to that guy's seminar. They all drive fancy cars and have big fancy houses. I mean, surely you have that, right? Yeah. It's funny. I've been to that same meeting. I look in the parking lot and I got the coolest car there. I'm like, where are all the Lambos and Ferraris and Porsches and McLarens, man? What?
The person we're talking to is like, well, I've already paid another coach, and he's telling me the complete opposite of what we're doing. It's like, that's great. Ask him how many he's done in the last 90 days, because I'm in the middle of 9 small apartment transactions.
Yeah. Oh, we got 2 minutes.
That's what you want. They came here and they want small apartments. Like, I'm in the middle of 9. How many did he do in the last 90 days?
You know what? Let me make this. I'm going to make this even more simple for everybody. I have not hired. I maybe hired 2 trainers in my life, And the second trainer I'm working with, Pat, right?
Yeah.
Pat's 50 years old and absolutely shredded. And he's been
a
like that
monster,
his
yeah.
whole, he's a monster.
Yeah.
But when I go to the gym, I see a lot of trainers. And I damn near now have a body like those trainers.
Yes,
and I know that, and that shouldn't be right.
No, I get it.
So I'm like, if I'm going to hire a trainer,
Right.
I'm going to look at the guy who literally can wash clothes on his abs, right?
Yes.
It's the same thing in real estate. It's like you can have the fancy cars and the big house, but I'm like, how much real estate do you really own?
Yeah. And I guess and not that we would give you the detailed answer, but I would say that Jason and I's income and wealth is probably 15-1 versus the money we make from the mastermind.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Well, just do the math. 20% appreciation
Right.
on, let's say, $30 million.
$30 million. Right. So that's where we're making our money.
That's on the low end.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. Well, I've always said our net worth is actually public. You just got to figure out all the LLCs we're buying it.
That's true. Yes.
Our
Good
net
luck.
worth is absolutely public.
Yeah. And that doesn't include the businesses. That's
That doesn't include the
biggest thing.
businesses,
Yeah.
right? So the other conversation you have with your gurus is, oh, you're really rich. You do a lot of deals. What LLC and what title company do you close at?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, if you call up to Patent Title and they go, hey, you guys know Jason Bible? We're like, yeah, like we're closing stuff with them all day long.
every week
We have our own closing team over there. So it's really easy to figure out if we're doing business or not. All right, so we got to go to the next segment or whatever we're going to do. So you got any closing? This is the last segment for this show this week.
So listen, it's call with mrtxre.com. Call with MR is in Mr. TX is in Texas, RE as in real estate.com. Let's lock in that price before the mastermind goes up again. Jason, you're going to send at least 3 emails out over the next 7 to 10 days, but we don't know when we'll hit 100, but when we hit 100, the price automatically goes up. So
It'll be the next couple of weeks easily, right?
yeah, I would say the next 2 weeks. So call with mrtxre.com. Thanks.